Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like.
Lena stood in the midst of what was supposed to be her dream life, but everything felt like a painful mirage. The echoes of laughter from the dinner party rang hollow in her ears as she watched Henry, her husband, leaning in too close to Sarah, her best friend. It was a fleeting moment, a touch that lingered for too long, a smile that sparked a flame of doubt within Lena's heart. Her breath quickened, a dark cloud of betrayal wrapping around her like a noose. She had seen that gleam in his eye too many times. Each time she dismissed it as harmless flirtation. But tonight was different. Tonight, something deep within told her the truth would unravel before her eyes. "Everything okay?" Yake, her brother, queried, his brow furrowing with concern as he noticed the growing discomfort on Lena's face. "Yeah, just tired," she managed to reply, forcing a smile while the knot of anxiety tightened in her stomach. The party swirled around her, a blur of animated conversations and clinking glasses, while the heat of betrayal simmered just beneath the surface. Fun and loving relationships felt tainted now. Lena's mind raced back to that weekend retreat, when Henry had been so distracted on his phone, whispering in hushed tones. She had brushed it off then, an innocent business call, she told herself. But she remembered Sarah's absence during that time, a coincidental vacation to the coast, and it was beginning to fit into a far sinister puzzle. With every passing minute, the dark certainty that had lain dormant in her subconscious began to rise. Was it all a facade? Were their smiles, their love just a carefully constructed illusion? Lena excused herself, retreating into the kitchen where the air was thick with the scent of burnt dessert and overlooked chaos. She needed to gather her thoughts, to make sense of the betrayal that loomed like a shadow ready to engulf her completely. As she rinsed a glass, the water mingling with her thoughts, she replayed Lena. Henry's voice cut through her spiraling thoughts. He was standing at the threshold, and for a moment she couldn't meet his gaze. "Everyone's asking for you. What's taking so long?" His casual demeanor felt like the final straw. "Why don't you ask Sarah? She seems to be taking quite an interest in your evening," Lena replied, iciness dripping from her words as she finally turned to face him. Henry's brow furrowed, a mix of confusion and annoyance flickering across his face. "What are you talking about?" he snapped defensively, his blue eyes narrowing. Lena's heart raced, craving to break free from ignorance, to unveil the truth even if it meant shattering her own heart in the process. The tension in the kitchen was suffocating, heavy with unspoken words, as Lena felt an invisible thread pulling at her anger. Was she overreacting? Would this be the day she would lay bare her insecurities, forever altering the fabric of their relationship? As much as she struggled with the fear of weakness, she couldn't shake the chilling feeling that something was very, very wrong. "Do you really not get it?" Lena forced herself to keep her voice steady. "You and Sarah?" She paused to steady her breathing, preparing to accuse. "You two look cozy. Too cozy for my understanding." His eyes widened, a glimmer of anger, perhaps even panic, igniting in their depths. But Lena felt emboldened. If this was the moment where their love teetered towards destruction, then she would cling to every bit of anger that protected her. "What have you done, Henry? What have you been hiding? Were you laughing at me all this time?" Each word sliced through the air, filling the empty space between them with betrayal. Lena's heart thundered in her chest as she watched Henry's expression shift from defensiveness to denial. "You're imagining things. Sarah is just a friend, Lena. You know that." The way he stammered sent icy fingers down her spine. His demeanor reeked of the deception that had been enchanted in their home, leaving a sour taste in her mouth. "I don't believe you. I won't play your game, Henry. What is this really?" He threw up his hands, frustration splashing over him like molten lava. "Are you seriously accusing me of cheating? Are you out of your mind? Look at me, Lena. I love you. You are everything to me," she scoffed, the irony melting inside her. "And yet you seem to strike up so much fun with my best friend. That doesn't make me feel like I'm your everything." The silence between them spelled out the words neither dared to say. Henry's face was a tempest of emotion, fear, anger, guilt, disbelief. But Lena's heart was already broken, shards glimmering throughout her chest like painful reminders of the love she had once cherished. Every ounce pressed more splits upon their foundation. With a deep breath, she began piecing together her next steps. The path ahead felt ominously clear. She didn't want to be the heartbroken woman pleading for explanation or fighting for a love that was slipping away. Instead, she needed to gather power to reclaim what was hers, the love she'd poured into her life, now sullied by betrayal. She felt a simmering rage and resolve brewing within her, coiling tighter, like a spring that was ready to snap. "Maybe you need to let Sarah know just how close you are." Lena spat, venom infiltrating her usually composed voice. "Maybe anytime she realizes you have a wife." Her insides twisted with fury, yet a thrill coursed through her veins. There would be no more pretending, Lena thought defiantly. This was the beginning of a reckoning. The rest of the guests were oblivious to her turmoil, blissfully lost in their own conversations, while she stood amid the chaos swirling around her heart. It felt like they lived one life, a beautiful, joyous life, filled with shared moments, yet beneath it lay the poison of betrayal. The betrayal she sensed and would now harness into a weapon of revenge. Lena stepped away, her heart a drum thrumming with potential destruction. While the others engaged in banal chatter, she tuned them out as she formulated her next moves in her mind. She would not let this go easily, nor would she forgive easily, if at all. As she rejoined the party, Lena's pulse raced with a blend of adrenaline and determination. She would gather her strength and prepare for the storm ahead. The seeds of revenge were beginning to root inside her, and with every beat, she swore that Henry would pay for this treachery he had orchestrated with Sarah. But how? She was caught up in an inferno of emotions, yet her mind was racing with possibilities. Songs played, laughter echoed, and yet Lena felt more alone than ever, an outsider in a world tinged with deception. Each smile exchanged, every toast raised felt like daggers piercing her flesh. If only they knew. If only they could see the truth woven in the fabric of this celebration. Tonight was not a celebration of love, but rather a masquerade filled with hidden secrets and the scream of a shattered heart. As the night wore on, Lena masked her growing hatred, every moment before the betrayal unfolded, inching her closer to her final confrontation. She approached Sarah, ready to rip the veil from her eyes. Each step closer gave Lena the strength she thought she had lost. Sarah would pay, and this betrayal would not end without repercussions. The false pretense of friendship would crumble, the truth would expose everything, and when it did, Lena would be ready. The reckoning loomed just ahead, and as small talk filled the room, a newfound darkness settled within Lena. She promised herself that by the end of this night, the truth would emerge, and her revenge would be as sweet as it would be necessary. All the love she had given would be extinguished, the bonds torn apart like paper in a fire, and she would relish in the ruin of the ties that had once held them together. As the night deepened, Lena stood among her guests, pretending normalcy enveloped her, while turmoil brewed just beneath her pristine surface. She caught glimpses of Henry and Sarah across the room, laughing too heartily, their chemistry like an electric pulse. Each giggle flowed like shards of glass into her heart, driving her deeper into despair. But despair quickly morphed into a storm of rage, swirling into something wholly transformative. Feeling the adrenaline pounding in her veins, Lena decided then and there that she would channel this pain into a deliberate design of retribution. She had always been the dutiful wife, the love-struck partner playing her part. But that part was over. She could no longer remain the passive observer of her own heartbreak. As the night flowed on, drinks were poured, and conversation ebbed and flowed, a facade of happiness that meant little to Lena. She searched for the perfect opportunity to secure her vengeance. Her eyes were locked onto Jake, her brother, who had stepped forward into a conversation with some friends from college. If there was anyone she could trust to help her, it was him. In every betrayal, she needed a confidant to fuel her plans. "Jake," she called softly, her voice rising above the din. He turned, concern shadowing his warm features. "What's wrong?" he asked. His brow furrowed with genuine worry. With the pulse of determination, Lena leaned in, her voice just above a whisper. "I need your help. We can't let Henry and Sarah get away with this." Jake looked puzzled, glancing back at the crowd. His expression shifted as he caught sight of the pair, their smiles engraved in decadence, inflicting deeper wounds upon Lena. "What did they do? What did—" "Everything," Lena replied, her tone fierce. "Tonight, we expose them. I have a plan. Expose them." "What do you mean?" Jake queried, grasping her arm with undeniable seriousness. Without letting go of her brother's arm, she pulled him to the corner of the room, weaving through the throngs of oblivious partygoers. "I want to show everyone the truth. Everyone deserves to see who they really are," she told him, intensity seeping through her words. Jake's eyes narrowed, disbelief and understanding mingling dangerously. "You're not serious, Lena. You can't just—" "I can, and I will," she corrected, the simmer of her resolve spilling into the tense atmosphere. She pulled out her phone and began typing furiously, her fingers flying over the screen. She was setting the stage, building a digital trap. "I've been collecting evidence, text messages, photos, everything I need to expose them for who they are, for what they've done." As she fired off a message to a friend with a knack for discreet social media maneuvers, Jake hesitated, searching for words. "This could blow up in your face, you know that?" His voice was low, cautious. Lena turned sharply, her gray eyes filled with a blazing fire. "I can't pretend anymore. If we let this slide, they'll walk away unscathed, and I refuse to let them. Sarah has made a fool of me, and Henry has betrayed my trust. This ends tonight." The sound of treachery churned in her heart, driving her deeper into madness, tinged with vengeance. Jake, seeing his sister's unwavering determination, exhaled slowly, realizing his role. "All right, I'm in. But we do this smartly. We'll let them write their own story." As the party continued to swirl around them, Lena and Jake stepped outside for a moment to gather their thoughts. The soft glow of the moonlight illuminated their faces, casting shadows of their determined resolve. Outside, they strategized every detail. Lena wouldn't just want revenge, she would want the world to witness the truth of her pain. "Good. Now we just need to set the bait," Lena replied, her voice laced with cold determination. "Set it up how? People won't just accept this evidence without context." "Easy," Lena smirked, a wicked idea sparking in her mind. We turn the tables on them, let the trap be their own destructiveness." They returned to the party, tension crackling with every step they took. Lena could feel the anticipation swirling in her stomach, the thrill of vengeance brewing dangerously close to the surface. "Ladies and gentlemen," Jake's voice boomed across the room, drawing the attention of the guests immediately. Lena's heart skipped a beat, adrenaline surging. "We have a little surprise tonight, a present, something that reflects the truth." He winked at Lena, and she adjusted her expression to a seductive smile, the mask of serenity resting on her face. As Jake prepared for the reveal, Lena moved closer to the boisterous duo, still lost in their own lavish world. She could hear snippets of their conversation, Henry's low chuckle punctuating Sarah's flirty remarks. Disgust twisted in her gut, but she steeled herself for what was about to come. "Margot," Jake called out, pulling the other guests into the unfolding drama. "You might want to check this out." They turned, confusion painting their faces, and Lena poured a dose of venomous glee into her voice. "Henry, Sarah, you're going to want to see what we've prepared for you both." Their expressions shifted, confusion twisting into concern. The weight of the impending revelation galvanized Lena, sharpened every sense, yet ignited a familiar dread. The moment she would unleash chaos into their lives. Without hesitation, she held her phone up to the crowd, displaying snapshots of texts, incriminating moments capturing the absurdity of their betrayals. Gasps echoed around the room, a chorus of disbelief mingling with growing whispers. Lena felt the swell of excitement. Her heart thundered amidst the explosive responses of their peers. "What is this?" Henry asked, his confidence faltering. "I'd like to know, too," a voice chimed in from the crowd, cutting through the growing tension. "Is this some kind of joke?" Lena smirked, her spirit soaring as she exposed Henry's betrayal to the glaring light of truth. "No joke, just a reality check," she said, biting through her sweetened tone to unveil the bitter venom that carried her words forward. Henry's face blanched, the blood draining as realization crashed over him like a tidal wave. Lena reveled in the very sight of it. "You're disgusting," Lena spat, her voice rising above the din. "You pretend to love me while screwing my best friend. You deserve every piece of this humiliation." Henry opened his mouth to defend himself, but the shame and guilt he wore swept any semblance of righteous indignation away. Sarah, however, wasn't faring much better. Her confident facade cracked under the weight of exposure. She glared at Lena, fury burning bright. "You're nothing but a bitter woman who can't handle the truth. You—" "Spare us, Sarah," Lena interrupted, the disdain crystal clear in her voice. "This was never about me, was it? You saw this as a chance for your shallow game to unfold, yet your secrets came spilling out for everyone to see." The crowd buzzed with whispers of condemnation, every gaze now spearheaded toward Sarah and Henry. Lena watched as the storm brewed, the spectators having already chosen their sides. The duo of betrayal clung to each other, realizing their fates were now intertwined. "This isn't over," Henry finally stammered, voice shaking as witnesses surrounded the couple, like vultures drawn to a corpse. "You'll regret this, Lena. I'll make you pay." "What are you going to do, Henry?" "Confront your delusions head on." "You've already lost everything, your relationship, your dignity." Lena leaned in, her voice a dagger. "It was worth it to expose the truth. I'll make sure everyone remembers who you really are." "Get out!" Sarah hissed, her words dripping with venom as she faced Lena. "You think you've won? You're pathetic." But all the venomous remarks seemed hollow and in a moment steeped in truth. Lena lifted her chin a queen amidst the ruins, while her cruel satisfaction fueled her flames. "Pathetic?" Lena repeated with a chilling laugh. "You think this is the end? You're wrong. You've picked a fight with the wrong woman, and I assure you, I'm just getting started." Feeling the rush of triumph surge beneath her skin, she threw every ounce of fire into her voice. "Perhaps this is the moment for both of you to reflect on the choices that led us here. I'll report this and let the world see how your betrayal unfolds." "This won't go down without a fight," Henry countered, trembling between the collective wrath rolling toward him. "Then fight," she challenged, her tone unbroken, like a thread pulling tight through tension, an imminent collapse of all he held dear. "But remember, I hold the cards now, sweetheart." Jake stood beside her, protective and proud, as they stared down at the wreckage left shimmering in confrontation, a whirlwind of shattered trust shredding through idealisms. It was a moment of shared outrage struggling against the currents of betrayal. In a world of dark consequences, they stood united in their fury. With that moment hung in time, as Henry and Sarah teetered under the weight of their unveiling, Lena felt an intoxicating rush, a wave of catharsis sweeping through her. Those were not mere words. They were weapons forged from betrayal, aimed to cut deep and haunt long after. As she turned to leave, the echoes of her final line hung in the air like an unearthly chant. It brought closure to her heartache and ignited the hope of a glorious vindication as she took her first steps away from the wreckage they had created. She left behind chaos, a beautiful devastation, left in the wake of her resolve, knowing full well that nothing would ever be the same again for Henry and Sarah. What had been fashioned in hidden betrayal would now crack under the weight of its own deception. In that final shade of defeat, a glimmer of satisfaction painted Lena's darkness with hues of freedom. She had released the light of truth and shattered their world with the power of her revelation. as fierce as a cleansing storm. Revenge wasn't merely hers. It was a tempest arriving like thunder, breaking apart illusions and leaving the shattered pieces scattered in time. The curtain had fallen on the facade of their happiness, turning the whispers of camaraderie into echoes of estrangement. And as she handed out bouquets of ruin, she found power was hers, the kind that lay dormant within betrayal, until released like a primal force, ready to seize every dark certainty and twist it into something coherent and fulfilling. In that moment of fleeting comfort, she imagined the next steps. No more Henry, no more Sarah, the beloved deceptions demolished before her. She would move forward, armed with wisdom and strength, leaving behind the specters of heartbreak and insecurity. Once betrayed, she crossed the threshold into a landscape filled with vengeance, power poised, and ready to wreak chaos among the deceivers left in her wake. As couples tried to piece together the aftershock of the night, one thing became clear. Lena owned the night, and now she would reclaim her life, marked anew by the scars of their betrayal, but fiercely alive. Each step was the awakening of a stronger self, leaving behind a legacy of revenge deep-seated in their downfall. As the party continued to unravel, Lena stayed close to Jake by her side, their shared understanding protecting her from the chaos they had unleashed. Many guests looked on in shock, some with sympathy for Lena, while others whispered about the wreckage of Henry and Sarah's facade tumbling down. Murmurs of distrust began to form within the circle that had once seemed impenetrable, now a fragile house of cards toppled by a single, undeniable truth. But Lena wouldn't be burdened by pity or shame. She had found her purpose. Her resolve was solidified by this night of chaos, a sunrise emerging from the ashes of their deceit. Revenge had become not only a means of retribution, but a transformative journey that propelled her forward with unyielding strength. As the final whispers of betrayal drifted through the air, Lena knew the path she had tread was one paved with valor, powered by her indomitable spirit. There was no returning to who she had once been. She was forged anew in the fires of vengeance, ready to seize every day from this point onward. And as the chaos settled into memory, she smiled, knowing very well that she had reclaimed herself from the clutches of betrayal, leaving behind only the shattered remnants of those who had wronged her.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like.